Persona 4 The Ultimax in Mayonaka Arena is an unusual sequel to the JRPG hit Persona 4, set 2 months after the events of that game and about 2 years after the events of Persona 3. Why is it unusual? Well, because it's not a JRPG at all. It's actually not even made completely by Atlus. Instead, it's a 2D fighter. Persona 4 Arena began development in 2010, after Arc System Works approached Atlus with the idea. The idea was simple, and an easy sell for Arc System, as Arc System already had the engine, and a lot of experience with making well-respected fighters. The pitch was well-timed as Kazuhisa Wada was insistent on expanding Persona beyond just JRPGs in order to reach new fans. According to Wada, they were in talks with Arc System for the game from 2008, shortly before the Persona Live concert of that year. Atlus staff are fans of fighting games, so Kojima, Hashino, and Wada would often play them during their lunch breaks. According to Wada, they do this nearly every day. This production cycle was a long one, as after talking with Kazuhisa Wada from Atlus, the character list had grown rather large. This long development cycle was about 2 years, longer than BlazBlue Continuum Shift. Atlus was insistent that this game be a collaboration between the two studios, rather than simply Arc System having control over the Persona IP. Atlus was very concerned with Persona 4 Arena not simply being RPG characters, but they are in a fighter, and instead wanted to ground the game in the logic of the Persona world. The operative phrase was, "make a real fighter," which was something Arc System felt was within their vision. Because they were concerned with appealing to fighting game fans as well as Persona fans, they opted to use D-pad guides for figuring out various moves, assuming that casual players wouldn't be too experienced with the joystick. Porting to consoles was also always part of the plan. First to release it in arcade centers, then to tweak the game as necessary before porting to consoles. This was a process requested by Atlus. That aside, Arc System had a lot of freedom to develop how they felt fit. The controls utilized 2 buttons for Persona-based skills and 2 for the player. Originally, this was going to be 3 for the player and 1 for the Persona, but it was adjusted to allow a wider variety of skills. This was also due to Arc System enjoying the Persona designs and wanting them to display prominently in the game. The staff assigned to work on Arena were also Persona fans, and this resulted in a focus on portraying skills and gestures faithful to the games. Many staff at Arc System attribute Persona to inspiring their art style. Toshi Michimori, the creator of the BlazBlue series, and Takumi Iguchiya, who co-directed Persona 4 Arena, also expressed they loved Atlus's fighter series Power Instinct, in particular, Groove On Fight 3. Because of this passion, many ideas weren't used, such as an assist where party members would heal you if your health got too low. Concepts like All Out Rush were iterations of elements from Persona series like All Out Attacks. Another concept included in the fighter was ailments. Elements were added to give Persona 4 Arena another unique layer that related to the original source material. Yu and Chie were the first characters to be worked into the game. The awakening mechanic was implemented to give players a chance to make a comeback during fights. This allowed them to include the exclamation points, which became iconic for Persona 4. Early versions of the game had awakenings increase offensive and defensive capabilities, but this was found to be too unbalanced. Because of this care, Wada and the Persona team were surprised, saying that most elements of this game felt Persona-like, saying that most of the elements from the game that felt Persona-like were provided by Arc System, and they had planned to make suggestions if needed, but had found that this was mostly unnecessary. Combos in Persona 4 Arena can be completed in a single button press. This was a derivative of the BlazBlue stylish mode. This consideration for new players or casual players also resulted in not using the Shoryuken command, which requires moving the stick forward, down, and then down forward, though because this was not included, Arc Systems did not include another popular command, the Shinku Hadouken. The game makes it so many characters use the same commands, which is also well received by Persona fans. Lesson mode was added to the console releases of the game, with these fans in mind. It was born from a Tokyo Game Show event in 2011, where the arcade demo used fight sticks, and many Persona fans stated things like, "I don't know how to use the stick," Or, I don't understand the point of the game. This continued into the arcade release of the game, resulting in an emergency meeting where they decided to include tutorial movies as well. Alternatively, challenge mode was added to give experienced players a single-player challenge. Originally, the challenges were very difficult, but relatively simpler challenges were added later, partially to teach players how to use unique techniques, but the 30th challenge for each player is set up like a puzzle. The sprites for the game were made by using 3D models and then rendering those and then translating those into sprites, and finally, editing them and adding special effects. Initially, Atlus gave the team the PS2 models used for Persona 3 and 4, but the deformed head and body were not usable according to the Arc System standards. The movesets and animations all had to be approved by Atlus, so Arc System would provide detailed storyboards and notes. These would display the standing, crouching, and jumping poses, as well as the proposed attacks. Funny enough, working on Yu Narukami was one of the most challenging parts of it. In particular, the way his hair moved and his standing animation. Teddy was also a character they found very challenging, but Soejima did compliment Arc System, stating he understood how difficult it was to draw Teddy, and how they represented him very well with the animation style they chose. The backgrounds also presented a challenge, as Arc System envisioned a more fantastical background aesthetic, but Atlus wanted a warped reality instead. This resulted in 6 months of back and forth before they came to the consensus. Mori himself said he wanted to reproduce Persona at all costs, but he would visit Atlus headquarters and draw backgrounds on the spot, asking, "How should I adjust this?" That 6 months was twice as long as they had planned. Persona 4 Arena's story was tricky to work out, as Atlus had to figure out how to meaningfully justify the cast of Persona 3 and 4 fighting, and for that, they reevaluated Persona 4's shadows. Persona 4 suggested that by accepting and developing healthy ways of dealing with dark aspects of oneself, you can overcome those aspects. But this fight is a never-ending one. This became the foundation of the story for Persona 4 Arena. The game is set on Golden Week because of the release of Persona 4 Golden, and it's set 2 months after the original game in order to allow the characters to change a little bit, but still be recognizable. The Persona used in Persona 4 Arena are all the initial forms. This was because the final forms were locked behind social links, so some of them wouldn't be recognizable for fans of the game. Labris was a new character made because of the desire to create someone new to draw fans to the game. The idea for it to be another android came from how popular Aegis was, so the decision was that the new central character would be one too. This character decision actually took a lot of discussion because Arc System also had a lot of ideas. This was an exciting prospect overall, as a lot of elements of Persona 3 were not addressed, and this could also provide a platform to explore some of those ideas. Labris was effectively a puzzle piece that would bridge Persona 3 and 4, which is possibly why a jigsaw puzzle was part of the European Collector's Edition of the game. And it's why she wears the Persona 4 uniform, which was a request by Soejima. Interestingly, this actually isn't even the first appearance of Labris, as she is mentioned in the Persona 3 drama CD, Moonlight, as the 5th generation Labris. Ariadne is Labris' persona due to Persona 4 persona all being Japanese mythology, and Persona 3 all being Greek. But because her name itself is the axe used by the Minotaur in Greek mythology, Ariadne was chosen due to her connection to the Minotaur, whom is her half-brother in mythology. Shadow Labris uses Asterius, which actually isn't a persona, but rather part of the shadow of Shadow Labris. Asterius is the foster father to Minos, who is the king who built the labyrinth that held the Minotaur. Interestingly, the voice actor for Labris in Japan, Ayane Taketatsu, was so impressed by Labris' story, she cried after reading the scenario. The game doesn't have Rise as a playable character, much to the chagrin of Arc System, with Uguchiya pressuring Atlus hard to include her as a playable character. Another idea that was joked about was Dojima and Nanako appearing as a playable duo, with Nanako being summoned by Dojima, and when she becomes too scared, Dojima would fight. But Atlus shot down that idea quickly. Story mode was also added for the console version, and was part of why the updates to Mitsuru and Akihiko are so distinct. According to Atlus, Hashino requested these updates prove to be distinct from Persona 4, and also represent the power of maturity. Animation segments of the game were made by Madhouse, who had made the Persona 4 Golden opening. General Teddy gives the playable cast unique nicknames, like the Sister Complex Kingpin of Steel. This was inspired by K1 and Pride, two Asian competitive fighting organizations that have the propensity for the same unique nicknaming. Because of the inclusion of story mode, we also got new things such as a peek into Chie and Yosuke's bedrooms. These were both designed by Sojima himself. Persona 4 Arena being a fighting game forced Sojima to improve on quite a few things: expressive faces, damaged clothing, and flashier poses. Sojima's favorite piece is that of Yu Narukami and Aegis fighting, created to promote the game in 2011. This piece came about as former Atlus designer Kazuya Nino noted Sojima's Aegis character sheet showing a beaten Aegis and stated a robot can't be called a robot if you don't show what it looks like in pieces. This prompted Sojima to include some damage details to the piece. Sojima is also a big fan of the box art, which was drawn by Hanako Oribe. Sojima touched up the piece by adding sparks to the center. He used a dark room and a lighter to get some good reference images, but had no luck. Outside of the art itself is the sprite art, which in lieu of having unique clothes instead has palettes. And there's a lot of references to many things, including Persona characters. Here's a few that I thought were really fun. Naoto's 9th palette is Yukino Mayuzumi from Persona 2. Yosuke's 9th is Ikichi from Persona 2. Teddy's 9th is Jack Frost, and yeah, you get the picture. The music in Arena was composed by Atsushi Kirijo on the new tracks, and Meguro putting in work as well. Meguro was concerned with making the music an appropriate, fast-paced battle music, but Wada assured Meguro that he didn't want so-called fighting game music. He wanted Persona music. For Kirijo, this was difficult due to the unfamiliarity with fighting game music, but also because he is working on Persona 4 Golden at the same time. Because of this, a lot of song ideas were lost in the rush. Best Friends was always intended to be the opening, but Wada asked for a vocal version. It was a challenge, but Yui Kawamura was able to contribute her voice, with lyrics written by Benjamin Franklin, and no, not that Benjamin Franklin. Reach Out to the Truth in the Mayonaka Arena was a struggle because there's already variations. The Junes Hero was the first song Meguro made in this project. Most of the songs are re-edited in the early stages of the project with the aim to improve the quality, but since this song was made over time from the beginning, it did not need to be re-edited. This constant editing also led to a problem when editing this soundtrack. The Mac broke. The old Power Mac G5 had a coolant leak, and the data was not lost, but the new Mac could not recover lost data. So the only thing they had was the original song, so it took some time for them to be able to rework the song back to what they had. Like a Dragon was the first song Kirijo wrote. He used square-type synth sounds that start with majors to match the personality of Chie. The dragon in the title represents a person according to Kirijo, but it's also probably a reference to the Trial of Dragon from Persona 4, which itself is a reference to Bruce Lee. The game was thoroughly tested to ensure Persona fans could play, and this playtesting period was difficult. Due to the amount of people who came to test these games were often fighting game enthusiasts, and the concern was playing someone who was significantly more skilled than you, and how that might decrease your interest in playing if you were a casual fan. This is the main reason why Tutorial was introduced to the home console. A lot of what Arc System and Atlus wanted was that this could be a fighting game that appealed to beginners. Persona 4 Arena released to acclaim, with arcade centers apparently reporting an increase in female arcade goers due to the release of the game. It was then released for home consoles, selling nearly 200,000 units on the PS3 in Japan, and less than 13,000 on the Xbox. It was released for Title Type X2 arcade machines. For the Western release, the name was shortened from Persona 4 The Ultimate in Mayonaka Arena, or Midnight Arena, to simply Persona 4 Arena. This is also the time that Atlus West decided to stop adding the Shin Megami Tensei to the title of Persona games, which saved the game from potentially being called Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4 The Ultimate in Mayonaka Arena. The other name considered for Western release was Persona 4 Ultimate, to keep the P4U handle that was so popular in Japan. This game also recasted a couple of characters, with Sam Riegel replacing Dave Wittenberg due to scheduling conflicts. Chie being voiced by Tracy Rooney after Aaron Fitzgerald declined to voice the character again. The PS3 version of Arena was controversially region locked. being the second title ever to be region locked on the PS3. Atlus explained that this was due to concerns of regional pricing affecting sales. Arena was published in PAL regions by Zen United. They offered an unusual set of Persona merch. The Persona 4 Arena European Limited Edition included the Arranged soundtrack CD, a tote bag, a double keyring, a Chie button set, and, unusually, a 300-piece jigsaw puzzle set. In addition to this, a special 12-inch pressing of the Arranged soundtrack on yellow vinyl was included as a pre-order bonus for the game via Rice Digital. Another interesting release was the Persona 4 Arena official fight stick. This was made by Hori for the PS3. The idea for the collab with Hori was to make something high quality for fans of the game to use that's designed with the Persona aesthetic, while also being compact and being comfortable. The parts were manufactured by Sanwa Denshi. The materials were the standard used for Japanese arcades, and included switches for rapid fire and stick changeover, and was sold for about 10,800 yen, or roughly $96. The total sales for Arena was seen as a success, netting around $5.6 million total in profit, selling far more than Atlus had anticipated. The success was due in part to the lengths of promotion, including a Persona 4 museum event in Akihabara's Gamers main store, which had related products for sale, as well as illustrations and such for fans, and a special promotional postcard for those who attended the event, or the Wondergoo Joshin Ikebukuro Mobile Dream concept shop for similar promotions. This success led to more, including a stage adaptation, and as well as a manga adaptation. To talk about some of the manga, I have a special guest. Here is SmilingDominator.
With the success of Persona 4 Arena and Persona 4 Ultimax, the series spawned two manga adaptations, Persona 4 The Ultimate in Mayonaka Arena and Persona 4 The Ultimax Ultra Suplex Hold. Try saying that 4 times fast. Let's talk about Persona 4 The Ultimate in Mayonaka Arena first, which is also known as Persona 4 Arena. Persona 4 Arena was announced to have a manga adaptation on July 24, 2012, which would be written and illustrated by Aya Kiyo, with Atlus overseeing the writing. At the time, Aya would go by other names such as Aya Ball and Aya Kiyu, with 2 U's. She is well known for her series Anti-Magia, Mofu Dashi, and doing the artwork of The Rising of the Shield Hero. Aya was also the assistant to Arakawa Hiromu, who created Full Metal Alchemist. The first 2 chapters will be released in Persona Magazine on August 7, 2012 and September 24, 2012, then were later moved to Dengeki Mao on November 27, 2012 for monthly releases. The series would later end its run on January 27, 2013, with the first volume releasing May 27, 2013, the second volume releasing August 27, 2013, and the third and final volume releasing February 27, 2013. To celebrate the release of the second volume, Dengeki did an interview with Aya. In it, they would talk about how it was so hard to stay on schedule for the second volume, how Aya's favorite characters to draw was Yu for being cool, Yosuke for his emotional expressions, and Mitsuru for having a good style. Aigis was the most difficult for her to draw because of getting the balance right between her style and Suejima's style. While the game allows you to learn the story through multiple characters' routes, the game contradicts itself in certain scenes, such as the person being able to stop and save Labris and who fought who. But in the manga version, the story follows mostly Yosuke, Yu, Mitsuru, Naito, Aigis, and Labris routes from the story mode. For some, though it only has 16 chapters, it does a way better job telling the arena story than the game itself does. While staying faithful to the story, it's sad to say the Velvet Attendants and Igor do not make an appearance at all. It still doesn't take away from the story setting up itself. For those who want to find something Persona 4 related and don't want to wait till the game comes out, definitely read the manga. It's the arena. It has everything. You can understand the story a lot more.
It also won the illustrious Best Fighting Game Award from Spike VGA. So the stage play goes over the story of the game and had a short run, but the show was available for viewing via DVD release as well. Once the game was released for home consoles, it started off a bit rough, with the Xbox 360 version needing immediate bug fixes due to lag in network battles. Persona 4 Arena was featured in the EVO Championship 2013. The winner was a Japanese player going by Yume, who mained Aigis. Second place went to Lord Knight, who mained Mitsuru, and third place went to Banana Ken, who used Shadow Labyrinth. So with the success of this game, with a reported nearly 200,000 units sold on the PS3 and a robust 12.8K units sold on the Xbox 360 in Japan, and an unknown dataset for the West, it was only natural to lead to even more. Wada's desire for expansion and a willingness to experiment paid off, leading to Persona Q and Persona 4 Dancing All Night. And the sequel was dubbed Persona 4 The Ultimax Ultra Suplex Hold and was released in arcades in 2013, a year after the first game's release, and 2014 for the home console. This game expanded on the roster and aimed to improve the gameplay based on the feedback from the first game. Again, this was a collaboration with Arc Systems, and a lot of key staff returned to work on the product. The animated scenes, however, were handled by Capsule this time, whereas the original animated scenes were done by Madhouse for Persona 4 Arena. This game was made with fan feedback in mind. Seiji Fukumoto, the director behind the game, mentioned that fans discussed things like character balance as being issues, as well as what content was or was not fun, and they took that into account. They also added new characters, Yukari Takaba, Junpei Iori, and Sho Minazuki. The console version of the game got even more new characters with Rise Kujikawa, Ken Amada, Toru Adachi, Marie, and Margaret. Though by January 15, 2015, the 2.0 update added all console characters to the arcade versions, tweaked shadow characters, and made other various changes. Rise was someone Iguchiyo wanted from the beginning for Persona 4 Arena, but part of the struggle was figuring out how to make this character into a fighter. Adachi, on the other hand, was a fan favorite in the sense he was a top requested character by fans, and by female staff at Atlus and Arc System. Wada and Fukumoto described that he had so many female fans that they decided to make playing him as user-friendly as possible. Adachi himself isn't strong, but his persona is, and because of how much the staff at Arc System loved Adachi, there's a high attention to detail in his animations that are all made with the consideration of his character. Characters from Persona 3 got updates, and one of them was Yukari. She is now an actor performing for the fictional Phoenix Squadron Featherman, an in-universe recurring show, one that goes as far back as Persona 2. Her being a Featherman was a design idea by Soejima, and kind of furthered her connection to the bow and arrow weapon. Junpei was a tricky update because there was many considerations for what his future path might hold, from being a guitarist to being an agent to being an air guitarist, going by the name JP. Baseball as his theme was the one that stuck, however. Then there's Ken Amada. He's now a second year in junior high, and his new design was very well received. Him fighting with Koromaru was something Arc System was very interested in implementing. They had a hard time balancing Ken and Koromaru, but the joy of adding this co-op style character was a highlight for them. Marie also has unique skills, using the weather icon, and her performance changes based on the weather. Margaret uses 3 persona, and they were chosen to fit her nickname, which was localized as the Sadistic Stud-Keeping Secretary. But it's a bit more extreme, I guess. Ikemen Kai no Doisu Hisho, which Ikemen are like pretty boys or handsome men, or Ikemen can also be slang for twinks. Kai is domestication. Doisu is an extreme sadist, and Hisho are secretaries. So if you put the things together, I'd say her nickname is something more like the extreme twink domesticating sadist secretary. According to Wada, this was the concept of her original Persona roster in Persona 4. So they chose the 3 best ones she summoned from that game. I think this is a bit of a weird word choice, given she summons Yoshitsune, Kuholin, and Ardha. Ardha being Shiva and Parvati formed as one, and clearly Parvati is female and Shiva is male. I don't have the in-depth Hindu knowledge to know if it's okay to call Ardha a hot man or a twink. The game did its rounds in tournaments, with Famitsu interviewing 2 regulars in the Persona 4 Arena Ultimax fighting game community, Deimos and Hina. Deimos is an Adachi main and Hina is a Shadow Junpei main. I thought it was interesting to know that Deimos was a teacher in his career who went to the arcades about 2 to 3 days a week, or 4 to 5 days if he can afford it, and 6 to 7 days a week before the lead up to a big tournament. I was going to repeat a lot more of the fighting game jargon from this interview, but frankly, I just don't know what I'm saying, so I'm not going to say it. Demos says he regularly practices in practice mode to focus on accuracy, so he can limit how much the opponent can respond to his inputs. Lastly, he says the key to being great at Persona 4 Arena Ultimax is to understand the combos you can do, and to improve your skills with your character. Not knowing how to combo will result in loss, but a lot can be learned through battle experience, to understand how to counter playstyles and different character types. The game also received a lot of interesting things. First off, here is SmilingDom again with that manga discussion.
Alright, let's talk about Persona 4 the Ultimax Ultra Suplex Hold, aka Persona 4 Ultimax, also known as P4U in the West, P4U2 in Japan, and Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. In February 2015, it was announced that Persona 4 Ultimax would get a manga adaptation. Date was revealed in the July issue of Dengeki Mao on June 25, 2015, for a monthly release, 2 days after the Japanese release date of Persona 4 Dancing All Night. With 35 chapters, the manga officially ended on April 27, 2018. The first volume for Ultimax released on January 26, 2016, the second volume releasing September 24, 2016, the third volume releasing September 27, 2017, and the fourth and final volume released June 27, 2018. Rikuro Saito would be the author and illustrator, with Atlas overseeing this adaptation for the manga. He is also well known for his development for Persona 5 Memento Missions, God Eater 2 Undercover, Skygear, and Tomogi, the 2012 version. He was also one of the main illustrators in Persona 5 Character Anthology and Persona 5 Dengeki Comic Anthology, which is basically 4 comas and gag mangas. You can also say he's a big fan of Persona, with some of his fan art for Persona 4 can be traced back to 2011 on Pixiv. Just like Persona 4 Arena, there is no official translation out in the West. For those who played Arena and Ultimax, you will realize there's a difference with the story. Ultimax story mode was a little bit different than Arena story mode. While Arena had routes, Persona 4 Ultimax had episodes. So you had episode P4, episode P3, and episode Adachi, which was DLC. The manga pulls focus and story basically from episode Persona 4 and episode Adachi, and it combines them well together, with little being shown with episode Persona 3. In the first chapter of Ultimax, you're given a recap of what happened in Persona 4 Arena. After, you start to see the timeline of Adachi, the IT team, and everything else start to play in effect as you would see in the game. But remember, there is no like P3 in this. They barely showed her face. They're kind of like cameos in here, which kind of sucks because the game gave you fan service with Yukari, Ken, Junpei, characters they added into the next series, but they barely show up in this one. Well, in all, they cut out characters to focus more on the story for P4 and show Minazuki, who is the antagonist in this story, shining a light on his backstory and why he is the way he is, which we didn't get explored in the game as much as possible. The last series left out Elizabeth, Margaret, Theo, and Marie. They make a return in the series. With Marie having problems of her own, she leaves it to you to solve the mystery of the red fog covering Inaba. Even though episode Persona 3 was cut from the manga story, this adaptation still follows through of giving you a coherent story and wanting you to find out more of Shio's personality and life. Art giving the fight scenes, especially the last fight, a new life and not wanting the story to end there. I recommend that everyone checks out Arena and the Ultimax mangas, even if you already played the game. You won't be disappointed.
The game got a 15-second TV spot that's a sight to behold.
ペルソナの最新作ならこれをやれ。ペルソナ4 The Ultimax ウルトラスープレックスホールド8月28日発売。来るぞ超お得な限定版。これは買いだな。
I think I might be a bit too old to really understand the breakneck and minimal nature of it. It does show off the limited edition version of the game, which includes DLC on a card that allows for playing the story mode for Persona 4 Arena, some background music, and glasses that are optional for all characters. Whoa, Atlas, slow down. There you go again, sparing no expense, letting us put glasses on our characters. It also let you have Teddy and Mitsuru as navigators. Also, I lied, there's like 2 or 3 other commercials I just wanted to talk about that weird one, and I wanted to segue to the glasses. The game also has a weird exclusive, as the PS3 version has a lobby mode, a feature of online rooms where players can roam and communicate with others using avatars. This does not exist on the arcade version or the Xbox 360 iteration. By the way, if you are interested, Wada's character of choice is Kanji, and Iguchiya's character of choice is Rise. According to Kazuhisa Wada, he always had in mind to release 2 fighting games based on the Persona 4 IP. Just trust him on that. The success of Arena was partially that there was a large number of female gamers going and playing that game. And one of the goals for Persona 4 Arena Ultimax was to increase this metric. The game had some pomp and circumstance, a commemorative lottery at a famous and now gone Club Sega Akihabara, where you could win voice actor signed Shikishi, a B2 poster, A5 clear files, and other goodies. There was also a Twitter campaign for a signed voice actor Shikishi. With the release of the game to consoles, the updates came to the arcade version. This sequel also got a stage adaptation as well. One of the most interesting things about this adaptation was that Mitsuaki Marino, the consistent voice actor for Adachi, reprised his role as Adachi for the stage performance. He said of his time performing the character for the stage, that since he was a stage actor originally, it was quite easy to express this character in that format. He felt that many people can sympathize with the negative and dark thoughts that Dachi has, including himself. The stage play is also interesting because going through the Twitter account made for it, it just seems like they really enjoyed the experience. The actors kept up blogs where they would just talk about how fun it was. I mean, probably that's a promotional thing, but it really did feel genuine. The release also netted Japanese fans a fun tournament, which ran from January 18th, 2014 to March 29th of the same year. These were events where a Teddy mascot would walk around, there would be lotteries for autographed goods, and apparently you could watch them via Nico Nico as well. I think the biggest thing to come from the game's release was the Mad Catz collab controller, the design of which was provided by Atlus, and pre-orders came with a special faceplate that was a shadow version of all the characters on the cover. Other big collabs was the LHP or Lazy Hazy Planet collab, where goods were sold for a limited time at 6 LHP stores. This included an iPhone case, 2 teddy plushes, a t-shirt, a sweater, and other goodies. Atlus also released a slew of merch, including a PET bottle holder, towels, glasses cases, and an acrylic set of characters on TVs with messages, phone straps, and don't get me started on the figures. In 2015, Max Factory released the Yuna Kami, Figma, sculpted by Jun Yamaoka. Contrib made an Adachi figure at 1/8 scale. Honestly, there's so many figures and merch bits that I could literally just make a whole separate video for that. I also want to say that Wave made a model kit of an arcade machine, and Atlus West, then known as Atlus USA, actually posted a fan's kit. But the marquee for the kit is upside down? I kind of thought that was funny. Ultimax also showed up on the competitive scene at EVO 2015, with Atlus adding a whopping $10,000 dues for the Ultimax tournament. Atlus also livestreamed the event with giveaways of Atlus merch throughout, including the Mad Catz fight stick. At the 2015 EVO, the top 7 fighters were all Japanese players. KSB Superboy was in first place with Ken, NB Tahichi as Margaret and Yukari, Hagiwara in third place with Teddy, and yeah, there's other people. The game would also feature in smaller tournaments as well as EVO side events from 2017 and 2018. The Western Collector's Edition wasn't really a thing. There was, however, in its place, a first or pre-order version, launch version, whatever you want to call it. This came with a Teddy Bop bag, half a tarot card set. The other half is a thing that came with Persona Q. A very weird decision, as Ultimax was released for the Xbox 360 and PS3, and Persona Q was a 3DS exclusive. The Rice Digital version for the European fans included that half tarot set as well, but instead of the bop bag, it's a weird mystery t-shirt. Then, December 9th, 2021, something special happened. A port for Arena Ultimax was announced for the PC, Switch, and PS4. Physical release in Japan and Asia, but digital only in the West. Initially, there was no word on rollback netcode, but in March 2022, it was announced that rollback netcode was indeed coming to this definitive version of the game. I say that it's the definitive version because it offers dual audio, all the content from the previous version, and the game was built off the final update of the arcade version. The rollback netcode was set for implementation on the PC and PS4 versions in summer of 2022. Now, this is where the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions of the original Ultimax come to play. The PS3 version had an exclusive lobby mode. This was restricted to the PS4 port of Ultimax. So that means the PC and PS4 are getting rollback. The PS4 is getting the rollback and this exclusive mode. There's also no physical product, and the Switch version will not be getting the rollback or the lobby as of the recording of this video. This sort of uneven porting isn't even that unusual for Atlus, as they set that precedent with Nocturne HD Remaster, having the vanilla release of that game only available in the West if you bought the Steam version. The port launched with an exciting new tournament, the Persona 4 Arena Ultimax Charity Showdown, organized by Atlus West and Team Stickbug, with $10,000 being the grand prize to the charity of the winner's choice. This was an 8-player tournament double elimination bracket, with the winner being Banana Ken with his Shadow Labyrinth, followed by Dunpa with Minazuki and Shadow Naoto, and in third, Textile Eastside with Rise. As for sales data, the original run apparently sold about 150,000 units on the PS3 and an unknown amount for the Xbox 360. But apparently, a total of 280,000 copies sold since launch as of 2014, according to the financial report of that time. The port is also tricky to know the sales data for. In Japan, it sold 13,000 units in its debut week, which was competing with Final Fantasy Origins, Stranger of Paradise or whatever, Elden Ring, and Legends Arceus. As for my thoughts about this whole thing, I'm a firm believer that you gotta be consistent across releases. So it should follow that each version should be the penultimate release of that, and they should all be the same unilaterally. They should all have the lobby mode, and yes, the Nintendo Switch version should also get that rollback netcode. And there should be transparency across the board. I believe that the rollback netcode was only implemented because there was such a strong demand for it. If we had not said anything about it, it wouldn't have happened. I enjoyed my time playing, but full disclosure, I'm very casually into fighting games. So it's not something I think I can talk about in a really meaningful way outside of the fact that I enjoyed the fighting game. The fan service of aging up the P3 characters was nice, but that visual novel style of storytelling was very rough for me. I found it very tedious to get through. The levels of fun the crew had when building the two games is evident to me, as it oozes a solid understanding of what Persona is, while understanding the fact that it's a 2D fighter. You could enjoy the game even if you weren't familiar with Persona series, and I think that's pretty good. I think the idea of future fighters is a welcome one, but I hope they do not include predatory DLC or exclusive content. So that's it for the video. Thank you, Dom, for helping me with this video. Thank you to all my channel members, Garidius, Ally Remains Ally, Lunapause, and my fellow Mega Tennis tier member, FF12 Kid. With your help, I'm able to make these videos. If you want to support and don't want to be a member, then consider buying my merch. Or if you don't like paying money, like and subscribe and comment. Those things help me out. Till next time, goodbye, fellow Megatenists.
Today.